Gates spawned, and monsters flooded the streets, forcing the first hunters to finally awaken. 7 dynasties claimed the throne, but one man scaled the peak through pure, unassisted grit. In the east, they feared the Miracle Warrior, a legend commanding a literal army of shadows. But the great houses and celestial stars deemed his independent power a threat to their reign. Now, a vibrant metropolis is getting cooked, transforming into a literal hellscape of roaring fire. Countless champions were sacrificed like pawns, just to extinguish the light of this invincible hero. Then the elite mages descended, their massive sigil fluttering over the burning wreckage of the city. Our main character is down bad, bleeding out while clutching a shattered mysterious golden watch. Every breath is a jagged struggle, his face etched with the absolute fatigue of god-tier combat. One arm missing and kneeling in blood, yet his eyes still burn with pure, unadulterated fury. The warrior screams his defiance at the ancient mage Dimitri for orchestrating this apocalyptic massacre. Dimitri sits arrogantly atop the ruins, the cold avatar of a vengeful and ego-driven god. He sneers at the boy's pathetic fate as our hero coughs up his remaining life force. Why he rasps, asking if they fear his lack of a divine patron, or his strength. Or was it his refusal to bow? Dimitri's chilling laughter confirms every single dark suspicion. The heavens despise self-made legends, as the immortal king's power is just too terrifying for them. He ignores the mage's excuses, his gaze sharp enough to cut through the heavy smoke. Dimitri counters that necromancy is a sin that violates the very laws of the natural order. Bathed in golden radiance, the mage declares that destiny has finally forsaken the shadow warrior. The young man mocks the elder for hiding behind a god's borrowed power like a coward. "I was just being quiet for a reason," he growls, raising one hand as reality shifts. Suddenly, a tidal wave of abyssal energy erupts from his mangled and broken body. Scattered bones begin to twitch, igniting with a malevolent and eerie neon-purple aura. A storm of shadow magic sweeps the field, proving this hunter still holds one lethal card. He activates a forbidden domain, trapping the arrogant mage in a cage of absolute soul-crushing despair. Dimitri pales as the soul-draining aura manifests, summoning a legion of skeletons from the earth. Acknowledging his rival's grit, the sorcerer prepares to unleash his most cracked and destructive spell. He invokes the cosmic gaze of his deity, tearing a hole through the darkening clouds. A titanic golden beam incinerates the sky, a final, overwhelming strike meant to delete him. He knows instantly if his shadow barrier buckles now, he will be wiped from history itself. A massive crimson explosion rocks the battlefield as the two titan powers finally collide. The beam of pure annihilation tears toward the hunter with a terrifying and terminal velocity. Facing certain death, the warrior doesn't flinch. Instead, he does something completely insane. A grin spreads across his face, baffling. Dimitri, why smile in the face of absolute erasure? That is when he reveals it, the golden pocket watch shimmering with forbidden temporal energy. He aims the relic at the spell, activating a hidden time manipulation protocol to survive. A system alert flashes, requirements met, initiating chrono regression. A blinding light explodes everywhere. Reality warps as time flows backward. He didn't need a god. He'll use their own power. The watch devours the divine strike, leaving Dimitri paralyzed with sheer and unbridled terror. "What have you done?" Dimitri bellows. He simply laughs. "I'm just borrowing your precious power." With a cold, confident smirk, he vows that next time, the noble families will burn. The watch hands spin at light speed, rewinding his fate back to the very beginning. A supernova of light consumes his vision, pulling his soul back through the lost years. He snaps awake, staring at a familiar mundane ceiling in his old, simple, modern room. Disoriented and trembling, he clutches his chest, feeling a heart that should be dead. Adrenaline surges as his eyes scan the room. Something feels eerily familiar. It's his old sanctuary. The apartment is frozen in time right down to the TV. The fridge, the furniture, everything remains. Sinking onto the bed, he stares. He glares at his watch, doubting the miracle. Fury simmers in his veins. Dimitri the mage will pay in blood. Suddenly, a notification interrupts his rage. A blue window flickers, the artifact is fried. This was a one-way trip. He smirks anyway. The gamble paid off. Today marks the apocalypse's 10-year anniversary. A decade before the fall, the system returns. Right on time, the interface awakens. There it is, level 1, stats raw and weak. Then, the first prompt appears. 3 starter paths flicker. He remembers when most players chose their doom here. Only bottom-tier generic roles are currently unlocked. Trash options for the masses. But this time, our hero has different plans. No more rushing. Survival is everything now. He grabs his jacket, ready to hunt. Armed with future intel, he's already light years ahead of everyone else. He hits the Natsuhabara market. A clerk greets him with a robotic smile. He silences her pitch, demanding a specific rare ring. The girl freezes. She looks at him like he's insane. "That item is cursed," she warns. "I know the price. Just sell it." He strides out, item secured. Even as he leaves, the clerk's eyes scream doubt. Is he suicidal? He unboxes the trash. To others, it's death. To him, it's the ultimate bargain. Ring of Lesser Darkness. The screen glows with ominous red text warnings. He slides it on without hesitating. He knows the secret to taming this beast. Shadows coil around his skin. If you don't break under the weight, you unlock necromancy. He grins as death energy floods his entire being. Reality snaps. He's dragged into a suffocating pitch-black void. Deep in the abyss, he faces the curse head-on. Zero fear, zero doubt. The curse takes shape the golden silhouette of his nemesis Dimitri. He glares at the projection unfazed. The phantom mage sneers with arrogance. The stars have forsaken you, it mocks. The golden figure raises a hand. A mental strike readies. Dimitri claims destiny cannot be changed. Holy light crashes down to shatter his soul. He just smirks. Mental intrusion blocked. The system acts as his ultimate firewall. Clear mind triggers, neutralizing the corruption. A victory message pings. Trial cleared. The dark void cracks and shatters like cheap glass. The abyss vanishes. A chilling, spectral blue flame ignites in his eye. Shrouded in darkness, he vows, "I'll build a legion to slaughter the gods." The ring evolves to epic tier. He admires the new jewel of death. The class menu refreshes, offering 4 distinct paths to power. He selects Necromancer. An eerie purple aura envelops his frame. The seal of death burns bright. He unlocks the Guide of the Departed passive. Phase 1 complete, he mutters, satisfied with this god-tier start. His arsenal is small, 2 active skills. One to resurrect the fallen, and another to sculpt bone. Future knowledge only goes so far. High-tier spells are still locked. But he's not playing by standard rules. Following the system is for losers. This early necromancy, it's his ultimate cheat. Toppling Mithri is a pipe dream for now. He needs the backing of a primordial constellation. With a lethal game plan, our protagonist boards a flight toward a mysterious, uncharted island. His target is the legendary crumbling sanctuary of Cronus, the absolute sovereign of time. This is where the stars that went dark after Zeus's bloody coup now dwell. The Titans, though defeated, still possess terrifying divine sparks. The warrior halts before a massive, ancient stone monolith. He recalls that the owner of that shattered timepiece was once a fallen god. It's time to unearth this shackled legend and claim its power. Without a second thought, he slams the pocket watch onto the weathered altar. Suddenly, a violent, blinding, golden radiance erupts from the broken artifacts. The earth groans and tremors rock the ground. As reality itself begins to splinter, he's instantly transported to a grand hall with massive stained glass. As he scans the void, an eerie, booming voice echoes through the chamber. "Who invades my tomb?" A colossal, enraged phantom manifests, demanding to know who disturbed his slumber. But the hunter just smirks, staring down a literal god. "Greetings, Cronus," he scoffs. He's addressing the exiled king of titans. The Time Lord glares back, his eyes radiating pure suspicion. Our hero casually grips the broken gears that served as his golden ticket into this realm. The Titan sneers, asking if this insignificant ant was the one who actually reversed time. Still grinning, the youth holds up the shattered remains, confirming he's the one who broke causality. The entity is impressed, but demands to know why his eternal rest was interrupted. He mocks that Cronus is just a relic forgotten by Olympus. Then, with a devious smile, he asks if the fallen king still craves vengeance. The god freezes his expression, turning lethal. "Say that again," the Titan growls. The hunter doesn't flinch, offering a daring deal. "Become my constellation and get your revenge." Cronus roars that no mere mortal can aid a god's vendetta. The youth just stands his ground casually, tossing the broken relic, while the god fuming. He reveals his 9-star status, a self-made monster, and adds that Zeus is already on his hit list. Plus, the 7 noble families are now his sworn enemies. By wiping them out, Olympus loses its grip on the world. But Cronus scoffs, finding this ambition far too small. The god notes he chose necromancy after regressing. "That's one way to see it," the boy retorts. "But I'm not here for the Time Lord." Suddenly, an ancient vision flashes. Cronus is the master of both clocks and crops. His legendary scythe is the symbol of the Reaper, and both powers defy the natural order. Cronus explodes at his audacity, calling him a cocky brat. The sanctuary quakes under the Titan's wrath, but the hunter barks back. That pride won't win this war. "Will you rot here forever as a forgotten shadow?" He keeps poking the bear, saying Olympus will only grow stronger while he fades. Then he challenges him to seize his throne and burn Olympus to the ground, once and for all. Internal: "If this gamble fails, I'm absolutely cooked." Cronus grins, admitting his thirst for blood never died. The deity then decides to test. If this kid has the guts to be his avatar, overhauling his divine nature will be pure, unadulterated torture. Survive this agony, and I'll be your constellation. Our hero's eyes widen. The trial is starting instantly, without warning. Cronus reaches out, declaring the boy his divine saint. The hunter is floored, completely losing his cool. At the weight of the title, a blinding gold aura wraps around him as divine energy floods his soul. But his dark necromancy clashes violently with the holy light. If he blacks out now, his chance to bind a god vanishes. Cronus watches the struggle with a frigid, unreadable gaze. The pressure is suffocating. Despite the nerves in his body screaming in pain, the hunter refuses to break. With pure, stubborn will, he tames the divine power surging within him. After a brutal trial, our protagonist finally re-emerges. His boots click across the airport floor. Japan, mission accomplished. With a confident smirk, the youth claims Japan is peak. Chibi Cronus pops up asking if the world's changed. The god orbits his vessel. System alert, a new star rises. The Reaper has become a blue giant. He mocks the deity's lack of blessings. Still, the Titan seems strangely hyped. He's back via the Reaper's path but needs clout to regain power. After an eternity imprisoned, this freedom is a rush. Spread his name. Our hunter realizes his luck. Saint class is broken, and Cronus is his patron. He's now a Saint of the White Knight. 0 necromancy penalties. He can convert holy energy into soul power and trigger life drain. A holy necromancer, that's a combination the world has never seen. Using light and shadow simultaneously is absolutely cracked. It was all fate. It was a calculated play. The deity boasts while the warrior plans. With a grin, he decides the Furujuku portal is his first stop. The ancient garden is the perfect playground to test his god-tier powers. Most gates vanish, but fixed portals like this garden remain open forever. It's a 1-star dungeon, basically a training ground for rookies. Outside the entrance, desperate hunters are scrambling for a party. Our lead watches the desperate crowd with cold, sharp eyes. A group tries to recruit him, but he shuts them down instantly. He walks into the gate solo. The recruiter looks salty, but retreats. The team wonders if the rookie will survive. The girl tells them to chill. It's his choice. But the warrior knows he's way overqualified. He steps inside. A system chime welcomes him to the ancient garden. It's eerily silent. A classic setup for a lethal surprise attack. Smirking, he senses his first prey is already closing the distance. He glances up just as a shadow lunges from the trees. A nasty goblin strikes with a dagger, but our hero dodges effortlessly. The monster shrieks as its aura flares. The hero triggers his conversion. Soul power turns holy. The system details his life drain skill. He activates the ability ripping life force out of the screaming creature. He notes that holy and dark mana feel surprisingly similar. Palm against its chest, he siphons every drop. A green mist swirls. The goblin shrivels into a husk. System alert, his stats are rising. Seeing numbers jump is pure dopamine. Each level up grants 5 points. Do the math, killing 25 goblins equals 1 full level. Post-hunt, tiny Cronus drifts back into the hero's view. Like the power the god asks. The hunter confirms it's insane. The deity flexes his ego. Now the real show begins. Emerald sparks ignite in the dead goblin's eyes. The spell takes hold. With a wicked grin, he commands the corpse to rise. A skeletal hand draped in shadow claws out of the earth. The body begins to levitate, puppeted by the strings of necromancy. The creature rises, reborn, and twisted. His first soldier is born. Standing tall and ready to serve the system, Ping's the zombie's growth rate is off the charts, with stats surging by 97%. This beast is now a certified 1-star undead itching for a fight. With a loyal thrall by his side, he is confident he can solo this grind. Together, the Necromancer and his rotting ally push into the heart of the woods. Then out of nowhere, a trio of goblins prowls from the brush blades bared. Their wicked eyes lock onto the boy and his undead shadow. They lunge, but our hero sees a golden chance for a field test. He commands his servant to blitz the front line. Without a second's delay, the zombie blurs forward, charging the pack with terrifying speed. A heavy fist connects squarely with a goblin's jaw-shattering teeth into a bloody spray. Blades bite into the zombie's back, but the undead does not even flinch. Another goblin swings a desperate side slash. The creature does not budge. Smirking, the hero notes that mere stabs won't put a corpse back in the ground. Seizing the chaos, he lunges forward and crushes a goblin's throat in his iron grip. He hoists the beast up, activating life drain to siphon its very essence. Simultaneously, his thrall sends another goblin flying with a brutal kick. As the goblin sails through the air, the zombie pivots, delivering a skull-cracking blow to the final survivor. Driven by primal hunger, the undead tears into the enemy's throat. Our protagonist stands over the carnage. Curious, he wonders if he can harvest power from the dead. He triggers the skill, and it works. The corpses are ripe for the picking. His power levels spike once more. Wearing a predatory grin, he decides to crank up the intensity. They say conquering the first foe is the hardest part of the war. Specifically, raising that first soldier is the real hurdle. Chanting his dark arts, he commands the corpses to rise and serve. 4 fresh zombies crawl from the dirt with boosted stats, bowing to their master as he smiles with grim satisfaction. This is the power he craved. As his new squad swarms forward, he realizes being a necromancer is absolutely broken. The undead mob encircle the remaining goblins in a gore-filled frenzy. A blade pierces one of his servants. It does not even register the pain. The tiny goblin's eyes widen in pure terror as its best strike does 0 damage. The creature shrieks in a panic, staring death in the face. Then the zombie lunges, sinking its teeth in for the kill. As the dust settles, Cronus manifests, lecturing that a contractor should maintain a bit more class in battle. Our hero scoffs, telling him this is the Necromancer way and to deal with it. He has already hit his cap of 20 loyal minions. Simultaneously, he weaves his mana, ready to harvest every drop of energy from the pile of corpses. Now leading a miniature undead legion, the hunter unleashes his horde, sending them sprinting into the dark woods. Without warning, a flaming arrow streaks through the canopy, aiming straight for the monsters. The projectile strikes a goblin dead center, lighting it up as a piercing shriek echoes through the trees. Halting his army, the protagonist tenses, sensing a new player on the field. He barks for the lurker to reveal themselves. No more games step out. Slowly, a group of enigmatic hunters steps from the shadows of the ancient trees. It is the same party that tried to recruit him earlier, demanding to know his true identity. Even Cronus looks intrigued. Our hero's eyes narrow. He knows these faces from his previous life, the notorious twin shadow hunters. He recalls their betrayal. They were the ones who tried to end him before his regression. Meet Yuka Rendo. Beside her is Yuma Rendo, a powerhouse warrior. Yet our hero thinks they look surprisingly weak this time around. Compared to his memories, they are still stuck at 1-star rank, though they have added a third wheel to their squad. He decides to hold back, knowing they were just mercenaries following orders back then. One twin points a finger, asking if he is the puppet master. He is well aware that the Necromancer class is still a total mystery in this era. He proudly admits the undead are his to command. Suddenly, a devious but brilliant plan starts forming in his mind. Sizing up the trio, he realizes he needs bag carriers, and these guys look like they would do anything for the right price. He struts up and drops a job offer that leaves their leader stunned. The mission: collect every magic stone he leaves behind. He offers an 80-20 split. The three hunters trade stunned glances, the forest falling deathly silent. They are clearly suspicious of this shady deal, whispering intensely, while the woods around them hold their breath. The archer and the third member warn their leader to stay away from this freak. Our hero just waits cool as ice. As he hangs back, their bickering starts to get on his nerves, but he patiently waits for the verdict. Finally, the leader shouts, his acceptance shocking his team, but he has got a counteroffer, a 50-50 split or no deal. Pushing for a fair cut, the hunter offers a final 70-30 split, and the others begrudgingly sign their souls away. A teammate whispers if this is actually legit, but the leader knows better. One wrong move, and they're toast. He realizes if the kid wanted them dead, they'd be corpses, already making him their golden ticket to massive riches. Hours into the grind, one teammate collapses, gasping for air as his legs finally give out from the exhaustion. The archer slumps against a trunk, panting that she's officially reached her breaking point with this relentless pace. Staring at the massive horde of mana stones, the leader confirms his gut feeling: this hunter is a monster. The carnage surpassed every expectation, as the Necromancer systematically wiped the entire floor clean in record time. The protagonist just gestures toward more loot, treating the battlefield like a literal goldmine for the party. Exhausted, the leader begs for mercy, but the relentless zombies continue their merciless slaughter of the remaining goblin ranks. Without breaking a sweat, he points to the next pile of fresh corpses for them to harvest. He flashes a chilling smile, telling them to take their time, while the party stands frozen in absolute awe. It's official. The trio is now certain this man is anything but a normal human being. Eventually, the young man declares the entire zone successfully hollowed out of enemies. Mission complete. Time to check the gains. He pulls up his status window to see the fruits of his labor. His eyes widen as he sees his attributes skyrocketing after the intense hunting spree. Pure satisfaction. Gaining 212 points in just 3 hours, that's legendary. With a new level reached, he moves out. The young man ventures into the dark heart of the forest, ready to hunt the dungeon boss and finish things. Suddenly, an elite squad of high-level goblins led by a shaman blocks his path. The shaman sneers at the foolish human entering his lair, but our hero just scoffs back with pure arrogance. He mocks the Goblin King, ignoring the archer's terrified warning that this is the deadly southern chief. She pleads with him not to poke the bear, but the monster's eyes flare with murderous intent. The chief commands his horde to bring the human to his knees, ordering them to feast on his flesh. Unfazed, the Necromancer unleashes his undead legion, sending one minion charging straight into the bloody fray. The enemy is faster than expected. In a flash, the monster drives its blade through the zombie's chest. As the servant collapses, a system alert pings. His familiar count has dropped to 19 active units. With ice in his veins, the Necromancer commands the fallen body to answer his call once more. Suddenly, a skeletal hand bursts through the chest of the very goblin that landed the killing blow. A brand new zombie crawls out of its fresh host, reclaiming its place in the Necromancer's army. With 20 minions back on the field, the new recruit immediately turns on its former comrades. It brutally tears into a goblin's throat, leaving the party horrified by the Necromancer's dark efficiency. The shaman realizes the threat and fumbles for a magical artifact hanging from his belt. He hoists a skull-tipped staff, chanting a dark incantation before slamming it into the earth. A totem of courage erupts, fueling the goblins with a berserker rage as their eyes glow crimson. While the chief brags about his power-up, a zombie casually smashes his precious totem to pieces. Was that supposed to be impressive? The hunter mocks, while the monster stands there completely dumbfounded. Trembling with fury, the shaman shrieks that a mere human dared to defile his sacred relic. In response, the zombies mimic the move, planting their own bone staves to beat the goblins senseless. One undead minion expertly parries a goblin strike using a bone staff as a makeshift shield. The creature froze, never imagining its own weapons could be used against it so flawlessly. The young man taunts the shaman's frustration, causing the chief to grip his staff until his knuckles turn white. He triggers the curse of madness, flooding the clearing with a suffocating red aura. The hunters clutch their heads in agony as the goblin's power surges by 50 points. The buffed monsters tear through the undead line quickly, taking down one of the Necromancer's servants. The onslaught is brutal, and in moments the once mighty army is whittled down to just 10 zombies. Rotting limbs litter the ground as the count drops further, to a final 8 survivors. The young man remains. That staff is the goblin chief's ultimate ace. The shaman gloats, claiming it is forged from pure goblin grudges. But our hero spots a fatal flaw. The weapon is made of bone. Smirking, he knows the tides have turned. He triggers his bone manipulation. Skill, instantly. The chief panics as his weapon starts vibrating violently. Suddenly, an unseen power rips the staff from his frantic grip. The protagonist seizes the weapon, shattering the local curse entirely. The stunned monster gasps, wondering how a human could do this. With the hex lifted, the goblin's strength vanishes. He focuses on the skull atop the staff. He realizes that those grudges actually boost the reaction speed. Grinning, he offers to return the weapon before hurling it with lethal force. Paralyzed by terror, the beast cannot move. The staff tears through the chief's chest with absolute brutality. The monster stares at its own weapon embedded in its heart before collapsing. Our main character activates life drain. Since this was a boss, the energy surge is massive. Suddenly he senses something and turns. The hunters just stand there, completely lost and confused. He kneels to harvest the chief's blood into a small vial. He almost sucked the monster dry with that life drain skill. He tells the trio to clean up, and their leader nods. The hunters survey the carnage, unable to process the total slaughter. The scene shifts back to the bustling modern city streets. Our hero finally emerges from the shimmering blue dungeon gate. The dungeon raid is officially over as he returns to reality. The exhausted trio follows, lugging a massive, overflowing backpack. Onlookers are floored by their haul, doubting this small team did it. He praises the group and suggests selling the loot in Natsuabara, but the leader insists on handling the sales for a better profit. Our hero jokingly asks if they are trustworthy. The group gets defensive. He laughs it off as a prank, then asks about the payout, 6 million. He then picks up that cursed bone staff. He claims it is worthless, leaving the party leader totally puzzled. It is a priest-only item that grants spiritual power and confusion. Since priests lack spiritual power, he argues the item is trash. He decides to keep it himself, shocking the entire trio. He tells them to just deduct its cost from his share. The leader refuses, knowing they owe their lives to him. The others quickly agree to follow their leader's noble decision. Our hero smiles, appreciating the integrity of this little squad. He schedules another raid, and the group jumps at the chance. Day 2 begins as they dive back into the ancient garden. His zombie effortlessly crushes another goblin. He checks if they can keep going, but they are spent and overloaded. He sends them back while he ventures deeper into the dense, eerie forest with Cronus and his undead legion. The atmosphere here feels suffocatingly heavy. Suddenly, crimson eyes ignite within the dark foliage of the forest. A savage pack of spear-wielding frogmen lunges from the shadows, thirsting for his blood. He signals his undead legion forward, sparking a chaotic clash. One ghoul sinks its fangs deep into a frogman. Potent venom surges through its veins. A nearby beast freezes in horror, leaving its guard wide open. A zombie thrusts from behind, but the agile creature twists just in time to deflect the strike. His summons begin to fall. These amphibians are built different. They prove to be formidable, lethal foes. His undead are struggling. The protagonist realizes these monsters possess far superior stats compared to lowly goblins. It all adds up. Activating potion control, he hurls his bone staff, empowered by raw magical energy. The staff strikes true, and a shimmering system notification instantly flickers to life before him. The beast's skin turns slick and oily, twisting its face into a repulsive, sickening grin. This freakish reaction leaves our hero feeling slightly unnerved by the monster's behavior. He delivers a bone-shattering kick to the creature, eager to field test his newly acquired skill. Infused with soul power, the staff's piercing lethality skyrockets through the air. Ready to end this, he prepares to wipe the remaining monsters off the map. Manipulating bone control, he rains jagged stakes upon them. Controlling the staff is taxing work. Raising the dead drains his mana rapidly. With the area cleared, he readies his necromancy for a harvest. Exhaustion sets in, but he pushes through. Moments later, a massive army of undead frogmen stands tall. A fresh summon delivers a heavy, crushing blow to the last straggler standing. Ding. The system screen flashes. He has officially reached level 6. Grinning, he vows to reclaim his former glory. The Sorcerer King, better watch out, his time is coming. He will settle that score later. For now, his sights are set on a hidden zone within the ruins. Accompanied by Cronus and his legion, he marches toward the heart of this mystical sanctuary. He pulls out a frogman's heart, a grim trophy he had pocketed earlier. Cronus questions the plan, but the hunter simply tells him to zip it and watch. Drenching the heart in goblin shaman blood, the ritual begins. The organ starts emitting an eerie glow. Bathed in emerald radiance, he grips the artifact, ready for the world to shift. Wearing a devious smirk, he declares his intent to breach the portal's most guarded secret. Secret discovered. The system chimes as reality warps, whisking him away to an unknown destination. Seconds later, the hunter finds himself standing in the center of an ancient trial coliseum. He stands amidst the dust and grime, scanning the arena with a sharp, calculating gaze. He recalls this place from his past life, a forbidden zone he could not touch back then. Approaching the luminous gateway, a massive, razor-clawed paw suddenly erupts from the light. Even our composed hero is taken aback by the sheer size of the emerging beast. A prompt appears, solo entry only. To proceed, he must prove he is truly worth the challenge. As a towering draconian steps forth, the clock starts ticking. He only has 10 minutes to survive. This arena is a scouting ground for constellations featuring elite warriors from the dragon's personal legion. Cronus is betting he will not even last 10 seconds against this powerhouse. The deity's talk of finding a replacement irritates him. He scoffs, draconian or not, it is just another target. At most, this is a one-star challenge. The beast slams its foot down, shaking the earth. Faced with the draconian, he casually asks for a timeout to tweak his undead squad. The monster is visibly baffled. He quips that even the worst villains let heroes power up first. Even his ghouls look horrified by the alterations. Notification, undead modification complete. Infused with plague blood, these immortal bioweapons can now respawn under the right conditions. Cronus is floored, but the hunter reminds him he was once a 9-star Necromancer sovereign. Grinning wildly, he readies his stance and taunts the beast to give him its best shot. The draconian glares at the frogs. Snarling, it lunges with speed that defies its size. Fresh zombies launch into the air to intercept it. Plagued servants swarm in a coordinated lethal assault. Clinging to its frame, they force a pained roar. A minion sinks fangs deep, pumping its shoulder with venom. Despite the swarm, the titan refuses to buckle. With one punch, it shatters a zombie into gore. System alert level 12 corrosive zombie acid detected. He shifted the frog's power into pure lethality. Berserk mode. A violent stomp shatters the floor, sending debris flying. The beast bellows and charges Ryoga at full throttle. Ryoga respects its grit, channeling mana into his staff. He summons a shimmering shield to tank the rush. Its power is insane. The shield shatters, tossing him. The beast roars, readying its final strike. Ryoga's ready. He triggers bone control. The staff's skull pulses darkly. The staff streaks forward, impaling the monster's flank perfectly. Seizing the opening, he orders his zombies to swarm. Minions lunge, simultaneously tearing into the wounded, distracted beast. Its skin turns obsidian black as the venom spreads. Even while rotting, it manages to crush another undead. Its razor claws shred another minion with zero mercy. With a smirk, Ryoga declares the fight officially over. The giant collapses, letting out a final pained wail. He recalls his weapon, watching the titan crash down. He approaches the fallen foe, readying his ultimate skill. Activating Life Drain, he siphons the beast's remaining essence. Cronus cheers, but Ryoga says he was never worried. He earns the Mark of Resistance, a high-tier passive. He eyes the corpse. The real prize is here. Cronus is confused. Ryoga needs tools for his undead. Scene shift to Saitama. A new chapter begins now. Before a weathered warehouse, Ryoga stands with grim focus. It's exactly as remembered. Suddenly, a fiery blast erupts. Coughing through smoke, he realizes some things never change. A pale-haired youth emerges, grinning through the haze. The Necromancer found him. The legendary alchemist looks lost. Kenya Shinya, Japan's future goat alchemist. Ryoga moves in. Ryoga introduces himself and asks to borrow the lab. Kenya is annoyed, but Ryoga promises a win-win deal. He mentions the mid-grade potion research. Hooked him. He offers help, leaving Kenya baffled. They step inside. Equipment and a massive cauldron fill the messy lab. Kenya is floored. How did he stabilize it so easily? He notes that solo research would have taken years. Grinning, he grips a cold scalpel. Testing time. The youth slices his own flesh without blinking a single eye. Liquid crimson hits the gash. Like a miracle, the wound stitches itself shut. Flexing his flawless arm, he smirks. The alchemist stares, absolutely floored by the results. Total disbelief. He lunges for the test tube, desperate to decode the magic inside. But the Necromancer is faster, snatching it away with a taunting, razor-sharp grin. Thirsty for the secret formula, the scientist's eyes burn with a dark, hungry greed. Time for a trade. My recipes for your loyalty. A partnership forged in gold. 60-40 my way. The alchemist smirks, convinced the kid just walked into his trap. Little does he know, everything is moving exactly as the Necromancer predicted. Welcome to the team, partner. Suddenly, his ring erupts in a ghostly, ethereal light. Boom, a massive draconian carcass hits the floor, leaving the scientist shaking in terror. What is that monstrosity? Relax, it's just materials. Necromancy is a messy business after all. Want to help me build a zombie? The alchemist recoils flatly, refusing the ghastly invitation. Fine, no contract, no work, just use the space. The Necromancer gives a mocking shrug. I get it. Trust is hard when your past is nothing but backstabs and lies. Work stolen, career trashed. Even the gods find this level of betrayal absolutely disgusting. Gods are all trash anyway. You're only hesitating because you haven't seen my peak. Allow me to enlighten you. Witness the true power of a king with your own eyes. The alchemist locks eyes with him, finally folding. Alright, let's see what you've got. Tools exchanged. The hero's first order: melt 5 mana stones with surgical perfect precision. Done. The scientist's speed is insane. Even the Necromancer can't help but be impressed. He takes the glowing essence and bathes the draconian's massive cold scales in it. Bone carving begins. He's etching forbidden curses directly into the skeleton to boost the beast. It's a grueling cycle. Layer upon layer of mana must be fused into the marrow. The lab becomes a war zone of effort. They grind through the night without a second's rest. The alchemist howls in agony, lungs burning. Finally, the hunter calls the finished product. 3 days, the scientist screams, realizing they've been trapped in a timeless mana frenzy. How is a 1-star this cracked? He moved a dragon's heart, using nothing but raw mana. Logic is dead, but this power is undeniable. So about that 60-40 split. No more hesitation. The deal is sealed. The alchemist officially joins the hunter's cause. Alone, this potion was a 2-year dream. With this monster, it's a reality today. He flashes a wicked smirk. This cooperation might just burn the whole world down. Perfect. The Necromancer is satisfied. A legendary partner is exactly what he needed. Next step, a soul for the dragon. He pulls his phone and initiates the hunt. Payment received, good. I've got another job. Cut to a dark, misty forest border. The rookies arrive confused. You actually called us all the way out to this dump. Move out. The trio falls in line immediately, trekking deep into the monster-infested woods. Stay sharp. This place is crawling with things that want to eat us alive. I'm just here to visit an old friend. His eyes scan the shadows for prey. The group creeps through the dense foliage, hearts pounding as the tension ramps up. Wait. The hero freezes. A foul, heavy stench suddenly hangs thick in the air. There, a lone orc sentry. The rookies panic. That's a deadly 2-star monster ahead. Lethal maybe, but perfect for testing my brand new soul-reaping bone blade. Bone control activate. A jagged blade of pure energy screams toward the target's skull. A sinister aura explodes from him as he taps into terrifying power. The orc panics, hurling its spear with bone-crushing force. The projectile streaks through the air to collide with the Necromancer's deadly strike. Smirking, he realizes that flimsy spear can't stop his magic. He mocks the beast, noting that sadly for the monster, his aim is true. The bone blade shatters the spear's head with overwhelming intensity. The strike tears through the orc's shoulder, making it howl in agony. The hunter admits he was aiming for the heart, but the beast's durability is insane. In a blind rage, the monster rips the jagged fragment from its flesh. Even dripping blood, the creature swings the broken shaft, desperate to kill the young man. It lunges forward in a final suicidal dash, but our hero remains perfectly still, icy and calm, waiting for the opening. Suddenly, a massive fire blast slams into the beast's face. The leader raises his shield just in time, earning a nod from the hero. With glowing eyes, he preps his next spell. He asks if 3 is better than 1 before triggering his bone manipulation. 3 skeletal tentacles instantly bind the wounded orc. Sharp spikes impale the beast from every angle, ending its life instantly. As the dust settles, they stare at the carcass rotting on the dirt. The leader is shook, barely processing the kill. The young man tells them to snap out of it. Since the real grind starts now, the leader wonders if this path is actually the right way. He confirms as his freshly raised orc zombie crawls up to join the squad. He explains his target is hiding inside that orc stronghold. Ahead, they see a massive fortress guarded by heavily armed sentries. The leader is confused, thinking this was a peaceful mission. The Necromancer just gives a cold nod, while his undead servant stands ready. He reiterates that their goal is deep within the enemy camp. With a devious grin, the boy mentions they can secure a massive bag here. The hunting trio is left speechless by his reckless plan. Eventually, the sun dips below the horizon, painting the forest red. Another orc raider collapses dead in the brush. The protagonist finally hits level 13, boosting his stats. However, a system alert pops up. The soul absorption limit for this species is capped. He figured his broken ability would have some kind of nerf. With that, the hunter calls it a day. Back at base, he pulls one of the girls aside for a private chat. He checks if she's prepared since 3 days have already flown by. Soon the full moon bleeds light over the haunted woods. Inside, the leader notes their power spike and schedules tomorrow's raid. Outside, the crew nods, and the leader assigns the girl to watch duty. They head in, leaving the young man's undead army to patrol the perimeter. 2. Elite minions stand like statues guarding the camp's entrance. Meanwhile, the trio sleeps soundly, while the hero sneaks off. The protagonist sits atop a ridge watching the stars. Now that he's leveled up, he's eager to check his new rewards. The system transports his mind to the library of the ancient master. Inside, he reaches for a legendary tome, but a red prompt denies him access. It requires level 45 to unlock. He grumbles in frustration, because only beginner guides are available. He sighs, admitting that any power is better than none. The boy settles onto the floor, diving into the scrolls with intense focus. He scans every glyph of the forbidden text. His eyes burn with light as he drinks in the secrets. By sunrise, the system pings a new skill has been mastered. By morning, one of the hunters drags himself out of bed, still half asleep, until his heart stops at a terrifying sight. One of the hero's undead orcs is breathing down his neck. Staring into those glowing eyes, the man screams and dives back as the hero tells him to wake up. The leader demands to know what's happening but stops when he sees the zombie's evolution. The boy smirks, claiming he just gave his pets a little power-up. His undead legion has evolved, rocking insane power and bone-plated durability. He manipulates necrotic flesh like a puppet master, commanding his new minions. Time to raid the orc nest. As the horizon bleeds crimson, the hunters gear up. The shadow of invasion looms over the battlefield. The undead army marches toward the enemy gates. They reach the orc stronghold, a massive, jagged fortress. Up in the watchtower, a scout catches a glimpse of the horror and screams the alarm. Spear-wielding orcs swarm the entrance, desperate to hold the line. But our necromancer just smirks. He raises a hand, channeling his bone-shaping mana. Suddenly, a violent surge of energy erupts. The massive wooden gates splinter into toothpicks. The shockwave sends the guards flying like ragdolls. Magical pressure tosses the orcs aside effortlessly. Clenching a wicked bone spear, he flashes a cold grin. "Enough with the noise," he mutters. Out of nowhere, a massive orc brute with a heavy axe stomps forward. The monster emerges from the swirling smoke, its eyes burning with bloodlust. It lets out a bone-chilling roar. The beast prepares to crush the intruders. Meanwhile, orc snipers line the rampart's notches ready. Bows creak as a volley of steel-tipped death is unleashed. A literal rain of arrows descends. The projectiles scream toward the hunters with lethal intent. But the team leader isn't sweating. He deploys a shimmering energy barrier, nullifying the assault. Their archer responds, her crossbow igniting with mystical flames. She fires a sunbright bolt that splits mid-air, raining hellfire onto the enemy ranks. One orc takes a direct hit to the chest, howling as the fire consumes him. Beside Cronus, the hero smirks. "Just a warm-up," he scoffs, eyes locked on the fray. The real slaughter was only just beginning. A green tide of orcs charges, aiming to pulverize the invaders. Our protagonist finally gives the signal. He commands his armored undead to clash. His elite minions lunge forward into the chaotic melee. One zombie blitzes an orc, shattering its jaw with a bone-crunching punch. Then it charges its core. A beam of azure energy vaporizes an enemy's torso. The necromancer watches, thoroughly impressed by the carnage. Reading those grimoires definitely paid off, he muses. The remaining orcs freeze, paralyzed by pure terror. They've never seen such unholy strength. But the young man warns this is merely the opening act. The true carnage starts now. The orc horde rallies, launching a desperate full-scale assault. They collide with the necromancer's front line. Steel clashes against reinforced bone in a brutal symphony. A minion effortlessly tanks a heavy blow using its reinforced shield. The defense is absolute. An orc axe slams into the zombie's armor with a resounding crack. The impact is massive. Right then, the system screen flashes a sudden warning. System alert. The armor is compromised and defense stats are plummeting. He weaves a spell, knitting the bone plates back together. The armor glows, its durability instantly restored. He then triggers Flesh Ripple, snaring the enemy's legs. Corrupted meat surges across the floor. Flesh spikes erupt, skewering an orc before he can even blink. It is a total bloodbath. The other orcs panic as the necrotic mass begins to bind their limbs and gear. The team leader stares jaw-dropped at the kid's tactical genius. His skill management is absolutely cracked. The zombie flesh acts like supernatural glue, rooting the orcs in place. They are sitting ducks. With the enemies immobilized, the undead retreat, clearing the path. Then the orc chief snaps. Seeing his tribe slaughtered like cattle, the giant leader loses it. He begins to transform. A menacing crimson aura erupts as his muscles bulge. The system alerts berserk mode has been triggered. Danger level critical. The hero just grins. Finally, the boss is actually trying, he laughs. The chief lets out a primal scream, his body overflowing with destructive red energy. The system updates danger has evolved to a special level. The pressure in the air is suffocating. But our hunter is stoked. He was getting bored of these weaklings. He wants a real fight. With a thunderous war cry, the monster swings its massive axe with world-ending force. The strike is so insanely fast it literally cleaves the air. It lunges through the air, diving straight for him with lethal intent. Stone cold, he thrusts out a hand, triggering his bone manipulation. Suddenly, massive skeletal shards erupt from the earth to halt the charge. The beast is skewered instantly by jagged spikes, pinning it in place. The titan collapses to its knees, utterly paralyzed by the strike. As the bones invade its flesh, the beast struggles wildly. Grinning like a demon, he whispers, "It is no use." Draining his mana, the monster lets out a blood-curdling shriek as dark energy consumes its form. He mocks its despair. With his energy drain hitting 40%, our hero notes that manifesting 6 spikes simultaneously is an absolute mana sink. One slip-up and the beast breaks free, so he decides to go straight for the heart. The hunter gears up for the finisher. His spiritual reserves surge to 68. As a bone lance pierces the orc's chest dead center, the creature finally hits the dirt, motionless and broken. Our main character gasps for air, his mana pool nearly bone dry after that clash. Reaching out, he triggers Life Drain to siphon back his spent vitality. A pure white glow envelops him, recharging his spiritual power back to 74. Flashing a cocky smirk, he feels totally rejuvenated and ready for the next round. Witnessing their leader's downfall, the remaining orcs freeze in terror. A frantic cry echoes, "Everyone run!" The horde scrambles to escape the village, but his eyes ignite. He is not letting anyone leave. Activating Flesh Ripple, he snares the fleeing monsters by their heels. With their movement halted, the beasts stumble into a chaotic heap. Within seconds, every runaway orc is face down in the mud. With the field secured, he grins and weaves necromancy, raising a fresh legion of armored undead orcs. Just like that, the terrifying orc chieftain is reduced to nothing more than a lifeless corpse. The hunter trio eyes the carnage, already calculating the massive payday they are about to rake in. But our main character claims the chieftain's axe, declaring it the true jackpot of this entire raid. The system reveals its name, the Rare Blood Axe, a weapon that hungers for more slaughter. Smirking, he concludes that wiping out this orc village was totally worth the effort. He tosses the loot to the party leader, leaving the tedious cleanup to the rest of the crew. The leader nods, insisting the young man take a breather while they handle the dirty work. Leaving the group behind, our protagonist vanishes into the deeper, darker sections of the woods. He halts before a massive primordial tree. "Found you," he mutters, his search finally over. He calls into the shadows, demanding the hidden observer step out and face him like a man. But the towering tree stays deathly still, offering zero response to his provocation. Sighing, he pulls a skeletal shard from his bag. It is time to do things the hard way. A sinister grin spreads across his face as the bone begins to pulse with flickering fire. Eyes blazing, he readies a devastating blow against the ancient bark with his enchanted catalyst. He unleashes a full power strike, a vibrant green aura swirling around his fist as he connects. Dark energy erupts violently. He scoffs, wondering why everyone forces him to be the bad guy. A phantom with glowing crimson eyes emerges from the gloom, growling, "Who disturbs my slumber?" Beaming, our hero admits he is thrilled to finally have this face-to-face meeting. He addresses him as Sora Kashiwagi, the legendary battle mage. The stunned specter recoils, asking how he knows that name. Our hunter reveals he is well aware of the monster wave Sora stopped 35 years ago. A weathered monument stands, honoring the legendary Sora. He was a peerless warrior, unrivaled in his time. A master of both blade and sorcery. The spectral hero smirks, his voice echoing from the void. "Maybe my sacrifice wasn't for nothing," he muses. But our protagonist just scoffs at the thought. "Fame is a luxury not everyone can afford," he counters. The spirit's gaze sharpens, demanding an explanation. "Recognize the name Naruhito?" he asks. The forgotten vice master of that ancient guild. Hellfire consumes the village. Through the static, a desperate voice screams into the radio, begging for help. Amidst the carnage, he reports civilians trapped in the district. They're cornered with nowhere to run. Monsters close in. With his final breath, the man bellows his name, a desperate prayer for salvation. "We're being overrun. Send backup now," he pleads. But the cold response shatters his hope. No support available. Denied. He freezes his face, a mask of crushing betrayal, as the horrific reality sinks in. They were sacrificial pawns. Bait to secure the North Gate. The voice on the radio coldly confirms it. "The main force is safe thanks to you." Fury boils over in the warrior's soul. They were sent to die alongside the innocent. The voice on the other end stays chillingly calm. "Don't be so dramatic," the traitor sneers. The man who sold him out continues his speech. "The glory of stopping this wave belongs solely to the survivors now." Blinded by fury, he shatters the radio. In this world, only the living are called heroes. A beast lunges, fangs bared, ready to execute a helpless civilian cowering on the ground. Shadowy magic erupts. The warrior intervenes, shielding the victim from the monster's lethal claws. He then carves a bloody path through the inferno. The man bellows at his squad to move. "Guard the civilians and get out of here." His men hesitate, their eyes filled with worry. "That's an order. Move now," he roars, his voice cutting through the sounds of battle. The spirit reveals the truth. The man who doomed him was celebrated as a legendary savior. Every trace of the real hero was systematically wiped from the annals of history. A tragedy, the MC remarks. The dead can't defend their stolen glory. Their sacrifices are twisted into someone else's legend. The ghost's fury flares. Stop talking in riddles. Spit it out. Why are you telling me this? He demands. Grinning, the youth makes an offer. Let me help you claim your vengeance. Crimson eyes burn with suspicion. The MC doesn't flinch, laying out his dark proposal. A contract. Rise again as my ultimate undead subordinate. The ancient hero remains silent. The necromancer's patience thins as he reiterates his tempting offer. Serve me and I'll give you power. His ring pulses with a sinister emerald necromantic glow. Revealing a draconian corpse, he offers the perfect vessel. The spirit eyes the monstrous body intently. He wavers. In this pathetic state, revenge seemed like a distant, impossible dream. I accept, the ghost rasps. But I have one non-negotiable condition for this pact. I will never lay a finger on the innocent. A hero's pride, even in death. Still the same noble soul, the MC thinks. A true hero doesn't change even after death. He smirks with respect. Deal. I won't break my word. The contract is forged. The pact is sealed. A system alert chimes, new undead servant acquired. Soku Kashiwagi has been bound. The MC recalls his past life before the regression. Back then, he was just a dread knight. But what if he had a god-tier vessel? This draconian host is a masterpiece. Kronos can't help but marvel at its raw potential. The status screen flickers, incomplete eldritch dragon. The MC's heart races with pure excitement. Unlike the skeleton knight, this beast possesses the rare magic fighter trait. It fuses arcane mastery with brutal physical prowess. The ultimate evolution begins. Our hero asks his new subordinate how that dragon body feels. The beast flexes, grumbling that this form is a pathetic downgrade. It's clear the servant is incomplete, a direct side effect of that flawed curse formula. Still, a satisfied smirk plays on his lips. This new ally is a massive upgrade from his previous start. He turns to leave the village with his follower in tow, but the creature suddenly halts his steps. Objecting to being called a minion with pure salt, the dragon's massive form begins to shrink in irritation. Now tiny and fuming, he crosses his arms with a glare, huffing that he absolutely loathes that disrespectful title. The hunter offers to use his real name instead, but the beast claims he's already discarded his past identity. What a handful. It seems this legendary hero's personality underwent a total 180 after his rebirth. The dragon demands an intimidating title, but he's drawing a blank. Our lead tosses out names like Fafnir or Typhon. Every suggestion gets rejected. Annoyed, the hunter tells him to just go by Roach then. That definitely hits a nerve. The creature refuses instantly. As the hunter considers punching some sense into him, the dragon just scoffs with disdain. But then he has a sudden change of heart. Fine, the first name Fafnir will have to do for now. With an exhausted sigh, the young man agrees and heads out. But wait, the newly christened Fafnir stops him again. He complains about being practically naked, eyeing the ruined orc village for anything that might pass as proper clothing. Scavenging through the wreckage, the dragon snatches a ragged cloth from a nearby tent to wrap himself up. Was the ancient hero always this eccentric? The scene shifts back to the lab where things are getting wild. The alchemist lets out a frantic shout. Something bizarre is happening in the dead of night, and he's ecstatic. The specimen in the solution is actually moving. Fafnir declares with pride that he has finally reclaimed a soul. The scientist goes into a frenzy, dying to dissect him. Fafnir finds him creepy and asks for permission to clock him. The hero shuts that down with a stern look before turning his attention back to his new partner. He informs the trio they're heading back to Tokyo to sort their loot, and the whole group quickly agrees. Back at the base, the young man prepares to flex his dark necromantic arts once again. Harnessing his mana, he begins a gruesome procedure on the orc chief he slaughtered earlier in the raid. He pauses, contemplating his next move with this monstrous corpse. The dragon and scientist watch intently, waiting for his creation. Sensing their gaze, he flashes a wicked grin and asks if they're ready to see what's behind the curtain. The alchemist panics, claiming he isn't curious, yet his hands are already moving to mix the necessary ingredients. The scientist admits it, this kid always finds a way to blow his mind and shatter every expectation. Smiling, the young man triggers flesh separation, prepping the orc's remains for its new dark purpose. Dark magic surges. Slowly, the monster's rotting flesh begins to slough away, revealing the pristine white skeleton beneath. Kronos asks if another servant is coming. The hero just smirks. There's no such thing as having too much power. The system chimes in. With a perfect completion rate, the new skeleton's stats are set to double instantly. To sweeten the deal, the alchemist hands over a rare extract to weave into the summon's very core. This essence grants the skeleton elite defensive traits. Our hero smiles already, seeing the tactical potential of his new tank. This creation will be his ultimate shield. The skeleton's feet click against the floor as it prepares to rise. A 2-star skeleton guard emerges, dual-wielding massive shields, looking like an impenetrable wall of bone and steel. He orders his new guard to stand firm while he uses life drain. The young man is thrilled with the result. The scientist is puzzled why a skeleton this time. The hero simply explains that bone doesn't rot like flesh. Plus, he can reshape them at will. The alchemist is stunned. He even factored in the long-term maintenance. Suddenly, he mentions a dull errand and leaves the servant with the alchemist, who looks totally lost. Where could he go at this hour? To the Pantheon, he says, to claim a brand new holy spell. Apparently, leveling up has its perks. The scientist is left jaw-dropped by that completely curveball of an answer. He spirals into a panic, a necromancer using holy spells. His partner stammers, wondering if this kid was a priest. Behind him, a ghostly image of a priest skeleton appears, only fueling Kronos' confusion and mounting dread. "I'm actually a very devout believer," he claims. The alchemist screams in disbelief, while the hero acts totally offended. Things change. Switching gears, our protagonist asks if the patent for that healing elixir is finally locked in. The scientist confirms it, earning praise for his speed. He's clearly not one to slack off. But there's a catch. Marketing is a nightmare since the next big expo is months away. Seizing the moment, the hunter offers to boost the brand, and the alchemist gladly accepts. He's handed a fresh vial immediately, with a devious grin spreading across his face. The young man sees dollar signs, imagining himself literally drowning in a sea of gold. Cash makes the world spin, after all. His partner just stares, wondering if he's truly a priest. Cut to the Pantheon, a massive spire born from the cataclysm where seekers hunt for blessings. As he navigates the crowd of constellation worshippers, a skeptical thought crosses his mind. These greedy gods demand tributes, yet he can't sense even a flicker of true divinity. Finding high-tier loot just lying around feels suspicious. Then the real struggle begins. His lungs burn as the endless ascent starts taking a heavy toll on his stamina. Seriously, not even a single elevator in this divine skyscraper. He's losing his mind. Is this 108-step climb for devotion? Little Kronos just watches him struggle. Drenched in sweat, he huffs while the tiny god asks how much further they have to go. The answer is brutal. They've only cleared half the distance. It's an absolute uphill nightmare. Annoyance flares. If the reward for this cardio session isn't legendary, someone is going to pay. Gritting his teeth, the young man continues his grueling trek up the ancient stone stairs. Finally, he enters a colossal chamber where the ceiling mirrors the infinite starry cosmos. His expression turns stone cold as he scans every inch of this hallowed sacred ground. The constellations stir in response, while little Kronos finds the whole dramatic situation hilarious. Then the god sheds his small form, declaring that it's finally time for his real show. Gazing at the heavens, he prepares to unleash a glimpse of his true primordial power. With a single touch, the giant of the defiant heavens is etched into the divine registry. Instantly, the protagonist unlocks Unholy Blessing and Wedge of Retribution, massive buffs for his stats. This power is insane. The Titan boasts about his glory, but the system suddenly interrupts. Apparently, his divinity is still pathetic. He needs actual achievements to level up his status. His star is barely flickering. The protagonist calls the system total trash, leaving the god pouting. Regardless, a win is a win. He's significantly stronger now, and that's all that matters. Later, the young man wanders the neon-lit city streets, lost in deep analytical thought. He's soaking in the nightlife when a sudden voice cuts through the ambient noise. Out steps Shagaru Sadik, a hulking blonde tank, who's curious why he's leaving the Pantheon. Our hero just blinks, completely blanking on who this massive stranger is supposed to be. The big guy claims he was his guardian back at the orphanage. Does that ring a bell? Oh, he remembers now. This guy was just a low-life bully who shook down defenseless kids. A flashback hits the bully, has him pinned against a wall in a dingy old room. He's barking threats, accusing the protagonist of snitching to the director like a total coward. But the memory takes a turn when the young man lands a crushing punch to his face. Smirking, the hunter asks if his nose ever straightened out, sending the bully into a rage. The meathead forces a calm face, admitting he almost snapped for a second there. He flashes a shiny pin on his chest, the mark of the elite Arachne Guild. He scoffs at our low-level hero, claiming the power dynamic has shifted forever. But the young man doesn't flinch. To him, this guy is still just the same pathetic trash. Fuming, the bully mashes his teeth and screams at him to drop the arrogant act. With a roar, he lunges forward, reaching out to crush the hunter with sheer brute force. Out of nowhere, a hand clamps onto his wrist, killing the sneak attack. The bully's jaw drops. He stammers an excuse to his captain, but the stranger interrupts, proposing they take this elsewhere. It's going to be a sanctioned duel. Internally, the man questions why this kid is hunting for trouble. The captain checks their history, then decides they should just settle the score with their fists. Smirking, the jerk claims the rookie hunter can't take a hint, and it was all just a prank. Shockingly, our hero doesn't hesitate to accept the challenge, leaving the bully completely stunned. The quick yes catches him off guard. Grinning, the MC taunts, "What's wrong? Getting cold feet." Gritting his teeth, the bully barks that there's no backing out of these words now. Cut to the Arachne Guild's high-tech training facility, housed in a sleek skyscraper. At the arena's heart, the two hunters square up, the air thick with impending violence. The kid reveals he's a priest class, declaring his summon will handle the heavy lifting. The foe sneers at the beast, flexing his high-tier gear, that juices his stats to the max. Glaring with disdain, he boasts his gear ensures a win. Suddenly, the arena's combat system hums to life. A glowing seal erupts beneath them. Smirking, the blonde fighter readies his stance for the clash. The system deploys a safety barrier to prevent any fatalities. The duel is officially underway. The stage is set, the protocols are green, and the long-awaited battle finally kicks off. The interface chimes as it scans the HP and defensive stats of both combatants. An emergency shield is on standby, ready to deploy the moment things turn lethal. The bully jeers, asking if his opponent is already too terrified to move. Our hero gives him a side-eye, genuinely confused by the clown's pathetic attempt at trash talk. Meanwhile, the summon reflects on the irony of crossing paths with the Arachne Guild in this place. He shifts into a combat stance, curious to test the limits of his physical form. The beast decides that against Arachne scum, there's absolutely no need for mercy or restraint. But the MC tells him to chill. Don't one-shot him yet. He's got some theories to test. The dragonkin mutters that suppressing his true power is becoming a real chore lately. Fuming, the bully roars, "You're dead," before launching a full-throttle assault at his target. He winds up a devastating spear thrust, but the beast parries the blow without breaking a sweat. The jerk's eyes bulge. How did a summon stop his ultimate move so casually? Recovering, the blonde hunter backpedals, already cycling through his menu for another skill. With a twisted grin, he triggers his second form, prepping a lethal piercing strike. The MC watches. His summon's reflexes are elite. The beast scoffs. Did you seriously think that slow poke would connect? In a blur of motion, the dragon man snatches the spearhead right out of the air. The blonde is paralyzed. Pure terror grips his soul as he realizes he can't even budge. Coldly, the monster labels him trash for charging in without a single strategic thought. He reminds him in a real dungeon he'd already be a corpse rotting on the floor. Oops. The summon realizes he totally blanked on his master's order to keep things low-key. Too late now. Pressing his palm against the bully's chest, he primes a devastating point-blank strike. The summon hammers a bone-shattering punch right into the guy's face. A guttural scream erupts as the impact sends the massive bully flying across the room. The beast mocks him, recalling how he bawled his eyes out after his nose shattered last time. The MC chuckles, noting the guy only screamed for a second look at him finally growing up. Livid, the bully scrambles up, spitting insults and calling the hero a low-life scumbag. Blinded by rage, he lunges again, but the beast effortlessly deflects the spear with one hand. The summon taunts him, explaining that repeating the same move makes your rhythm way too predictable. Spinning mid-air, the dragon man whips his tail into the jerk's leg. Bone snaps, leaving him wide-eyed in agony. The attacker stands frozen in absolute disbelief. It's over, the beast growls, priming a lethal execution. He raises a hand like a judge's gavel, ready to crush his broken opponent once and for all. Tears well up in the blonde man's eyes. Reality hits hard, he's reached the end of the line. Suddenly, the captain's voice booms across the field. He commands the servant to halt before blood is spilled. Our protagonist's eyes narrow in pure annoyance. Great, his perfect script just got a major rewrite. They're early, he mutters internally. These guys arrived way faster than his calculations predicted. The system window flashes, declaring the match finished. The aggressor remains face down on the cold arena stone. The captain rushes to his side, offering support. He calls for a priest to provide immediate emergency healing. The young man strolls in with a cocky grin. Why wait? You've got a top-tier healer standing right here. The captain scoffs in disbelief. A trash-tier 1-star spell isn't going to fix those shattered bones. He glares at the boy, skeptical. So, what's your big plan to save your dying comrade? The young man unsheathes a glowing vial. A simple mid-grade potion is all the magic we need today. Dude, have you been living under a rock? The news is everywhere. These are mass-produced trash now. The bully barks out a desperate refusal. I don't need your damn charity. Just get the hell out of here. But the young man won't budge. He's been dying for a chance to market his new product anyway. A devilish smirk plays on his lips. I finally found it. The perfect little test subject for my experiment. He tips the vial, pouring the crimson liquid onto the enemy's mangled leg. The captain's eyes nearly pop out of his head. Those shattered bones are literally knitting themselves back together. A flash of pure greed crosses his face. I need that potion, no matter what the cost. The MC wears a satisfied smirk. His little marketing stunt worked exactly how he planned. Tell me, the man demands, leaning in. Where did you get your hands on those mass-produced vials? The protagonist can't help but grin. He took the bait perfectly, hook, line, and sinker. So, Captain, the boy begins coyly. I assume a man in your position is at least a 3-star hunter. He throws down the gauntlet with a daring smile. Beat me in a duel, and I'll reveal my secret supplier. The captain agrees, but with a catch. Deal, but you're spilling the beans regardless of who wins. That last warm-up was way too short, the boy muses. This time, I'm playing for keeps. Both warriors drop into their combat stances. The air crackles with tension as a new round begins. The system sounds the alarm, and the captain lunges. He flies at the servant with blinding speed. Swordsmanship. 5th form, he bellows. His blade whistles through the air in a lethal arc. The captain is genuinely impressed. Not bad. The beast actually managed to react to my fastest blow, but he knows the laws of physics. A massive frame like that has a clear speed limit. The beast's defenses are crumbling fast. A speed type versus a tank. This is a total mismatch for the dragon. The beast treats this duel like a warm-up. Show him what my right-hand man is truly capable of. I can't just sit here and watch the show, he smirks. Unholy blessing, let's turn up the heat.